Hello out there, James here. I want to say something positive, make a positive video, and it's a solution that most people don't really think about. And I seen something on pop up on my phone you ever heard about the year to return to to the to Africa for you if you're black, and it was 2019 was supposed to be the year of the return and everything. And I just want to state how was it good? How hearing people that were from over here that went back to Africa. They went over to Africa. They visited Africa. They went over there and they literally moved to Africa, and started their business over in Africa. And when they did that, I said, that's a pretty brilliant idea. Look, and I understand that there's some African Americans, if you choose to call yourself that, black, that are patriotic. I understand that some have served in the service, some went to college, some have owned some land, and they feel that they put in some blood soul. And that's true. All that's true. But at the same time, the ones who choose to pick up and go and say that they want to find a better life because it's a possibility it could be something of greater opportunities that they couldn't get in America. And even though history have always showed that African Americans have been in the service, African Americans have invented stuff in this country, African Americans have there's a portion that have been the first in politics, and from a mayor to a governor to a president. Despite African Americans, black, which some people consider themselves black, have went to college, some got 1-2 degrees. Some people are just gifted in high IQ, who can basically know and succeed in the military, succeeded and make retribution to some starting a business and being in position of the president of business. There are African Americans that are doing that. And then you have the other side. You have some African Americans that grew into an environment that was not very encouraging. Some was only taught just as far as you can go. And despite the obstacles and odds, and God bless the ones that do, the ones that have made it and able to succeed and graduate college, and some graduate the military, and some on a few selective ones are running corporations. But you see, that's just a few that made it through. But then when you hear stories about the conversation with the latest thing, with the George Floyd incident, and you hear, whatever profession that they're in, whatever college degree that they have, whatever level of ownership and business and anything, the team has seen the same story. When being an ordinary citizen, you can be labeled as, you're not labeled in the same category as someone who don't have a college degree, somebody who could be don't have a record, somebody who don't that have a good family structure, and parents went to school and graduated from college, and some haven't have trades, but still by all of that, despite men in great grandfathers being in the military, serving in wars, serving their country, despite all of that, when you look at the history of it, they were still trying to be a human being and be, can you respect me for my talent? And then you have some people who had envious and jealousy towards somebody who really, out of the select, was able to advance and learn and able to put themselves in position. And there's African Americans that have good credit. There's African Americans that own homes. But despite all of that, patriotism, this country still tells you you're still black. What does still black mean? You're visible, but I would prefer you to be invisible. Because the perception of it is you come from an illiterate slave. The perception of it is your coloration, your skins, and your features. The perception of it is, so whatever I can mock you, your culture, and mock you, you become my footstool. You're like my toy. You're like my entertainment. You ain't supposed to have a brain. You ain't supposed to have a soul. You ain't supposed to have a spirit. This is the truth. In fact, when it's a group among you, I fear you because I think that you're going to launch an attack. I fear you because you're saying something, that you're planning something. I fear you because you're going to rise at some point. And the people who are thinking like this, they the one is paranoid. And then when you find out, you get to a level of knowledge, being an African American in business or law or something like that, and if they kind of select you as the one, they select you as the one to don't go back and inform the others. That if we would give you these resources, anything, you're going to betray and have a mindset of like, and you will look at your own people like we do, because it's about a class. And I say to people who think like this, you really don't see the bigger picture. It's not about your degree. Oh, that helped. You might be one of the few that's selective. But if you're on an even playing field, other people from every other nationality can get a job, whether it's their generation, whether young, or regardless of their occupation, no matter your profession is. I have people in my family like this that think that just because you have a degree, you're supposed to have elegance and everything. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, that's fine. It's nothing wrong with educating yourself if you're that kind of person able to discipline yourself to go to school, and if you choose to go to school and get into a field that's going to reward you with something. But you're competing with other people. And sometimes when it comes to competition, it ain't fair. You might not even get favored. Because even though it looks like the EEOC, it's not always EEOC, equal opportunity, when it comes to business. It's not EEOC when it comes to education, job. And if they select you to be the one, you just be that one, and then you be by yourself, and then you be their personal entertainment. They can feel like you are their personal slave. Then they would think that these people who think like that, you intellectually, you're not far, because see, when they see African Americans in the inner city, when the news showed them of, they see they in their mind, the people who are prejudiced, that they disorient, they disheveled. Stay away from these people because you see how, look how the way they express themselves. This is the truth. And even though you might not be an ignorant, shiftless, lazy person, it doesn't matter. But when some people come into this country, well, some people have been in this country, their perception is already painted, because they figure when they look at it, an African American people, they figure that they're not educated, they can't talk right, and so they all must have this certain mindset that we will always be over them, because intellectually they're not smart. I know that's not, well, we all know it's not true, but it's the perception that's always play a hold of it. And so there's a segment of black people, African Americans, because the reason why I say it like that, because some people choose to call themselves either or, to select to move to Africa, because that perception was given from generations of perception. You did sins of a slave. You're not so smart. You're not so bright. You're just an entertainment. You're just something that we can pick on. You're just something that we can just exploit and get in because you don't have the wherewithal. So the people, the ones who moved to Africa, see this. They know the perception of it, and they say, by me being from the land, when I get back, if I go over there, I would be known as my character, and then I can mentally set generation myself free. So that's why they're going to Africa, because, and that's why I say I don't blame them for going. It's something that's been rooted in that when coming in, living in this country and probably living in other parts of the westernized world. You made this seem to be a servant and stay a servant. And if you're a servant, you're not too bright. If your parents was a servant, they're not college educated. You're not too bright. So they figure they can be over you. But these people who moved to Africa are breaking that stereotype. And despite God gave them the brains, God gave them the talent, God gave them the ability, God gave them gifts, God, the Most High God, gave them things that they're able to do it and able to channel it to grow and help another person who looked like them, but hope that is not indoctrinated with the mindset that these blacks from America are just, they're shiftless and they're lazy. They don't want anything out of life, and so they lump these people with these people. That's why they move. Some are leaving this country, and despite there are some people in the segment, there's a segment in the community of people who don't want to, but it's not they're not the only group of people that don't. There's some people, it's not genetically, it's individually. Some people are taught to look at life this way, and some people are not taught to step out the square box. This is as far as you can go. This is as far as you can. And individually, many people have tried to pull themselves out of bootstraps. Even before all this happened with the shake-up of the world, of diseases and things like that. And I believe that people leave this country going to some place is trying to set their spirit free and trying to see their purpose in the life. And when you rooted in a country that condition you and still keep the the spirit over it, from generation after generation, from past generations down to now. I do believe African Americans that there's a segment that want to move on, but there's a segment of people that don't want to let them move on, that will constantly remind them. That's why they have problems with, and it has been innocent ones who wasn't ones who you would figure that do crime. Excuse me. They didn't do a crime. Simply just being a human being walking down the street, and someone called the cops because somebody's insecurity, and then it made them insecurity that someone who's forcing law made them insecurity. They suspect soon as they see something, they reflected something they seen on the news and they seen in the inner city, and you have people who are on law enforcement in the justice system that don't know how and don't want to care and don't choose to care, but go along with the system. In regard, and don't look to people as individuals, not to me people, but they see what's on your physical body. So the perception is already made. It's the best way I can put it. So those individuals who are African Americans, are leaving, came to the point in their life. If I'm not free to be a person in the country, and I have the ability and I have the resources to go, and yeah, it might be some things over in Africa that is unknown politically. I mean, the lifestyle is a little bit different over there. But I just saw something where it might cost you some money. You might see a couple of things. And it may be better. But at least you won't have to worry about getting slaughtered on the streets. Someone or some official unjustifiably kill you just because you wanted them. It's like, and they know internally they can break your spirit, discourage you. You know, every person wants peace on the planet. No one wants to be oppressed all the time. But if you have a way of getting away, of getting out of being oppressed, would you take it? I mean, here you doing it, and here you have people screaming at and hollering at you, saying, if you don't like it, just leave the country. But if a certain segment of African Americans leave the country, this economy would fall. I know it's hard to believe that for some people, but it would. And you would see that certain things will fall. And even though you subjecting them just to entertainment, you're just subjecting them to, you're oppressing them. But if there was it would literally fall, and not all are going to leave this country. Because the reason why some black people they was because they, due to the mentality, even though some people say it didn't exist about the Willie Lynch letter, the spirit of that letter still applied to today. What is the Willie Lynch letter, you might ask? See, there was a man, that came to the Caribbean, for those of you who don't know. And when the time during slavery in the Caribbean, in Americas, and different ones, and there was revolts among the Caribbean, in Americas, in different places. So what he did, Willie Lynch, who this man was, said, and there were people who were descendant that looked like me, who were just trying to be a human being, but you're not. But when you feel like you're a god over somebody, because that person have a different feature of hair, texture, and skin, that they're not equal. They're not equal to you. So they put in the law that you treat them like property. You treat them like you would treat a horse or you would treat a cow. And just how you train a dog or train the cows or train the horse, you do this to a people. Because it's conditioned that they got mind like children. You keep them in a childlike stage. And then when you keep them in a childlike stage, this is what you do. Since you have a whole group of individuals, now you see the biggest one from the smallest one, you divide them up. You take the lightest one and the darkest one, you divide them up. Get the intellectual ones and divide them up. And whatever, use their ability, their musical ability, divide them up. And just pack them on and pack them up, because they're your property. Like, you know how some people treat a pet like their children? See, there were some people with the mentality to treat black people the same way. And they didn't figure it out. And then, just like you do an animal, you can go and it's your property. You can go out there and torment that animal. You can torment that person. You have the ability to control their spirit. You could go in there and rape their wife and rape their daughter, molest their children. You have individuals that in this country and elsewhere that had that kind of power. So when they do the division, the educated and the uneducated, the ones who was able to grab things, they paint a perception. So the perception, what you put this among these black people. And Willie Lynch did this and took it and put it in every place on the continent, divided them up. Wherever there were black people that was part of that slave, that transatlantic slave. And there are people with descendants of people who think like Willie Lynch, that's across the world, that see people even today over in Africa and the Caribbean the same way, and Latin America the same way, as well as America, because of the color of their skin. And this is what it was. So it's like they such a physical specimen of a people. We must they must entertain us. And in fact, some of them they would compare it to animals, compare black people to certain traits of them, and they would have exhibits. This is what they did to people that come from different outskirts of in rural parts of Africa, and they would bring them to westernized country, and people would look at them like you would go to a zoo. I'm painting a picture. That's why I say all people don't look at it. Now there are some people that do, and when they do, and when you be with one of these people who are black, it's like you laying up with. It's like you have this something like you laid up with an animal. There's some people that think like that. I know this is kind of hard, but it's the truth. That's how they look. So at some point in time, there was a segment of black people, like any other people, and was going to figure this out. They were going to figure out that you don't see me as a human being. And despite I can learn, worship, my capabilities, if you allow me to get the education, if you allow me to be a human being, if you allow me to learn, instead of trying to hold and reserve, instead of trying to only teach you what you want to know, but only for so long. I can now you long we fight together, but and even during the time of a revolutionary war, this was the greatest fear before you see the blacks were in Civil War and fighting the British and things like that. When you look at history and how it plays up to now, the same descendants, people who were over the black people were scared that they were going to use the weapons against them. They're going to wake up and they go, pow, so don't give the black people weapons. Make them suffer. make it work rigorously. If you ever, if you ever see, understand the mindset of this. Hold on 1 minute. If you ever understand the mindset of being African American in this country, the perception of you still like that to this day. That's why there are people that still connect. They still think they still look at black people to this day. And then that these people who are clever, because they still have the same mindset that they're from the inner city. They only know so much, and they only go so far. But we'll select the few. Now this is how it followed from slavery. So they select a few to come out there in their areas. It's not that some of them really didn't want black people that live, no matter what their parents did, work hard, educate their kids, somewhat loud and whatever. It was just the presence that they would think that they're going to turn into some kind of criminality. This is what black people in this country went through. So, after understanding this amount of time, it was an era that black people, okay, we don't want them next to us. We don't want them living because we have to separate ourselves from them. This happened here in America. Why, James? Why did they separate? Because the perception, what it was, they're not human. They're 3/5 of a human. 3/5 of a human. Where did they send it from? Africa. Why did they keep? Why did they keep using the animal? They stay out there, the animals. And no matter where you come from, there are people still this day that even though Africa got 54 countries, lump the blacks with the Africans, and the African to separate the Africans from the blacks from America, but yet have prejudice against both. Will call them both the same derogatory name when a person get a certain interesting, personality. And some people from Africa who come to America don't understand this. Some don't. Some do. Some and think that it must be your education level. And you try to tell them, bruh, you only gonna go so far, because the enemy only gonna let you know so much, and they're gonna use you for a certain amount of time. See, black people from this country, they know this. They have lived with the people with that mentality for 400 years. This is the truth. And so sometimes our African counterparts think that, and they might let a few get through, and you might stay in a few places. But when you get into business, into a job, and dealing with business and justice system, you will see what we see. It don't matter. It don't matter what part of Africa or what part of your family where you're from. And some of these people that mock us will mock you. Some people who have the mindset, and some of these people who have it in their other nations think the same way. If you see it in your own country in Africa, it's here. Some of the people is in America with that same mindset. This is what our African counterparts don't understand. yeah, you see some of us who are just out there on the corner, sound like, using derogatory language. Some of us, is in a state of a sad affair, but you don't know the whole story. The whole, that's why some of us wants to get and see if we can settle our differences with, and anybody knows this, that we know not all Africans were complicit with the slave trade, that have those of us who are descendants from here. We know that. Some of us have sense enough to know there was certain individual among in the countries that they got to trace the tribes and everything. But if I'm told to forgive the white man for what he did do, I surely can forgive you, because systematically you haven't held me back, my African brother, sister. Systematically, you haven't used the medical system against me. You are in no position. You might be a doctor, might be a nurse, but you don't control the medical system. I can't have nothing against you. You don't control the educational system. I don't have nothing against you. You don't control the majority of the properties in America. I can't have nothing against you, because you see, I understand you're trying to get your piece of the American pie. So therefore, I understand why you gotta be where you at and think, and you cozy with where you at. But see, there's other parts of America you don't know. It's the other side of Americans you don't have come across. In regards of what you look like, and even though regardless of what your position was like any person in any other country, people are gonna look at you the same way as they look at us. And you seen it different when you look on the video, and some players, and they calling the monkey, they're throwing bananas and stuff at them in Europe and parts of Spain. See, we all in this together by the color of the skin. I'm trying to get you to see the perception of Africa when they went over to Africa. That no matter we in America, Latin America, the Caribbean, these nations have some of these people with the nations with that mentality. Well, they have no power. They have no wherewithal. They're just barbaric. That's why. And that's why we come into when we heal, then they see, and it's not about we're gonna turn and just flip it and just go attack innocent people. It's not about that. It's just that sometimes it's time for the black man, the black woman, the African, like the African woman, to realize that you have a purpose in this planet. You were not made to be the tail. You were not made to head. Despite what history has what they show you in history about, they put certain tribes in cages and look at them as their customs, like there's some kind of, like you're looking at something out there in the safari, and it look like you're looking at the animals, the giraffes, the gorillas, or the lions. And they feel like, and then you have these people with this westernized attitude that come over from different parts from the world, and you have them here in America. We're one of the countries that have people here like that. It's the truth. But I want to tell you, it doesn't matter about your education, your degree. Some people got the mindset. So for some African Americans to leave, if they got to be around, if people willing to treat you as the brother and sister with the connection, you go. Go be free. Go be a human being. Find out what your purpose and your destiny is. It's not be under the legacy of, they're like our children. They're our entertainment. They're figments. We can't let them go. They make us millions of dollars because, and it's something about you. We gotta have the musical ability. We gotta have something that God put on the African and the African American, the blacks. We gotta have some because we can gain the richness. I'm trying to tell you. And they think that we have the ability that they don't have. They don't have the power. That's why African Americans, you should go to Africa to escape the mindset. And I understand why some of you have to go, because you've been shown this time after time. This is the truth. And they figure at one point that the God that speak to you, that it must be a different God that speak to them. And that they turn this, and some people carry that so-called superiority complex and think that they're this brightest one. There's individuals who think like that you're going to be working for in your company when you come to this country. There's going to be individuals who think like that when you get educated in this country. There's going to be individuals who think like that when you live among them, when you shop. There's going to be individuals like that. And see, the African American black person for over 400 years know the spirit of what's going on. And so my African brother and sister, this is what we're trying to tell you. We don't have no beef against you if you're listening. We don't have no beef. We understand the mindset worldwide as a global. No matter what part of the world you're in, you always the invisible people. I've seen this. You always the invisible. Everywhere you go, people that look similar to like me, always the invisible people. Always in the worst condition and invisible. With the less of a voice. You don't even, until you find out, the only way you find when you come through the computer, when someone has to go physically on that land, even though they speak a different language. With African Americans from this country, and the ones from Canada, and one from England. If your desire, go be free. Go back to the continent. If you don't feel you're treated as a human being, as a spirit, go be free. Let the Most High, and if you have the ability, the education, you have the gifts, you have the talent, then if they're telling you that why don't you go back that one, then why not? Let them stay here. They will find out sooner or later when the well dries up. And they're going to figure out that in this chain, that the black man, the black woman is a steering mechanism to the economy. And if they wake up and realize, and they keep waking up and they keep seeing the brutalization, that's it. It's not about, well, they're going to get up and attack. No, it's not about attacking, because we are a soft-natured people. What we simply do is listen to the Most High and say, separate your dollars, separate them from the spirit from them. And this is what's good. In some places in America, this is what's being occurred. This is what's being shown. And some are separating, even though some are still among the other heathen nations, among the other people, walks of life of people. Whether it's in church, whether it's in school, whether it's in education, they choose to separate. And this is what's going on. So as they keep telling you, why don't you go back to Africa? You're black, go back to. Oh yeah, they're gonna go. Oh, they're gonna leave. Oh, they're gonna leave. And there's a segment gonna leave. It's not gonna keep tolerating that because what you speak is coming to pass. And they kept on telling that for years. Well, go back to. But there was a man that wanted to go back, want to take blacks back to Africa. Go back to Africa. We don't like your kind here. Go back to the Caribbean. Yeah. But if they do, let them have the resources to sustain their own income. If that's the case, you can to those who have that mentality towards blacks and people who are similar to blacks. You want to do your own economy? Let's see how far it'll go. You're going to figure out the puzzle. You're going to figure out the entertainment, the sports, and everything, the creativity. If a certain segment would just go and just claim their own, you would see it. And this is toward the people who have that mind, because I know that we know that not everybody is not like that. I mean, I'm not going to say that all this particular nationality people feel is all this national. No, this individuals in these other nationalities who think like this, who express themselves like this, who carry the spirit of this. We want to get away from you. And so the other people who are among you that look like you come to them to find out they're gone. So it must be you demonizing the dark people of the planet. It must be you, and it's going to reflect back on you who have that kind of attitude towards people who don't look like you. And there are going to be people among you that are going to look like you. And if you have a certain people that choose to leave Africa once this pandemic is over, and choose to relocate, and they can iron out and for some who choose to do business and live in harmony with other people who look like them, without any interference, do business with someone, interact and don't have to worry. And to the ones who maybe interact, intermarry, whatever, because they have something common in goal. They got something common. What is the common thing they have in goal? They were both rejected. And this was something started through time and history. And we starting to figure out this. We're starting to see value in this. And I encourage you, if you're African and if you're in the United States and you don't know this, you need to go to Washington, D.C. and go to the African Americans. And before you make something, and this is what I want you to do if you're a descendant of and from one of those African countries. I want you to go to D.C. I want you to spend time in the African American Museum. When you see go and start at the bottom where it was the Emmett Till and slaves, go all the way to the top. And this is for my people who are descendants or have parents, or you're the first generation over here. Take your parents to Washington, D.C. Show them who the descendants, who are the blacks in this country is. Educate yourself. And don't let them tell you. Hear it from and see it from them. Go down and see Emmett Till's casket. Go down and see what it was like when the first shores landed. And then when you see it, go to the top of the African American. And then you're going to see us in different dimensions and inventions. You're going to see us inventing things. You're going to see what they perceive you and told you. These are misguided, undated people. And you're going to ask yourself, and I want you to turn to get on your praise and say, God, how in the world did my counterparts in America, my black Americans, in this condition? And ask with an open heart. And you will see he will reveal the whole thing. And even though that's just the past, yes, it is the past. But you see, sometimes there's certain things in the past that's still connected to the present. The racism of the past affects and weaves into the present. The racism of the lynching, the Willie Lynch mentality comes into existence now. Separate the education, separate them by skin color, the light from the dark. Separate them by the hair texture. Separate them by their height. Separate them. Take the ones from the good and the bad. Make them dance for you. Make them knock themselves out for you. Make them put them in, attack to kill themselves like warriors. Let them fight into a ring like what you would see two animals. And say, that's my favorite one right there. These are the same people who's is over it. We'll give you $1 million to kill that other black man. We'll give you $1 million to rape that black woman. Understand the mindset that even though it's the past, but today it plays into the present. That's why some of us are leaving. Some of us saw this, and we want to escape that. And no matter the education, but you still black in the eyes of the majority who run corporations. You're still black. Those in the judicial system. Look at the way they do. There you go in any poor community, my friend. Why are we not sick when it comes to diseases and health conditions? Why do they separate us by race? When they know the same foods would affect anybody, if the children would eat the same food, regardless if they're white, they're black, or whatever. Why do they do this? I ask you, why? Who invented this stuff? Who invented? They did. They choose to separate by race. We all human. I know as an individual, I can see you human. My next door neighbor who is Caucasian is human. My Latino brother could be human. But see, the majority of the people who run things don't see us as human. Because if they did, they would keep having to bring up this discussion and bring up this thing about race. We wouldn't have to keep going through the same situation with the Breonna Taylors of the world, the George Floyd, that these things that make international no attention. If we didn't have no problem with race. This is what I'm trying to tell you. This is a spirit that's in the land. The black people who are leaving, who are able, who have the capability, who have the wherewithal, the education, and the ability, who leave in this, saying, I can't deal with the spirit no more. That's why they're leaving. And he said, where you go? It may be some issues over in Ghana or wherever they're going. But damn, they can handle that. They can weather that. But damn, but at least you had to work. At least you can, if you have the ability to start something, somebody gonna work with you to get your business or get your college plan or whatever resources you have. There's going to be somebody in Africa that's going to be honest and work with you. Say, my brother, let's work together to make this thing right. In America, some of us have to go to some people who have to put another man who's opposite of skin to get things rolling. That's the truth. my African friend, who are first generation, second generation. And if you read this, you hear this. This is the truth. Come to Washington, D.C. Go to the African American Museum. Then to go to the ones, and when you get to those museums, God will speak to you, saying this is what it was really about. Don't go by what someone tell you. And if you're not of African descent, don't go by what somebody tell you. Go see it, and then make friends with someone whose blood was shed in this, who descendants of blood shed in this land, and talk with them. And hopefully somebody can be reasoned and tell you what really went on and why the spirit is still in the land. Why you still seeing it play out to today. Why are there some of us that say, hey, this is it. If I do get some type of reparation, I'm out of here. Because the spirit of envious, the spirit of jealousy is coming right behind it to try to do another Tulsa, Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's true. And sometimes it may come into someone to have the same shade color that they're bought into the idea. Look at what he got. Pin them against each other. Look. You see them ends over there? Come on, you know how you guys do that stuff? Go get yours. I gotta go get mine. That's why some of them had to leave, because there's a segment of our people here are with that mentality. You gotta go get yours. I gotta get mine. That's another reason why it's good to go. And so while you're dealing with that, you're dealing with the envious and the jealousy of your own people. You're dealing with the prejudice and races of your own people. This is the reason why Africans, Americans are leaving and want to exodus out of here. And the ones who are able have the capability. Not everybody's going to be able to go, because a lot of people don't have the education, a lot of people don't have the resources, the income to go. But the ones who are able to go, they're going to go. And it's because they're lumped in the same category. You can only go so far, and we only going to allow you to be free. And I'm pretty sure that's probably over in England as well. I heard my English counterparts over the black British English people over there. It's the same way over there. They have some type of element like that. They want to be free. There's a segment that do. They going. Some have already left because they see the same thing that similar to America, similar to Canada. When it comes to law enforcement, when it comes to the judicial system. That's why the grass ain't greener, because you had opportunities of making money here is good, but what is it the cost of your soul, cost of your peace of mind? Because if you can't make money and the spirit is to serve, you can make all the money and still be miserable with your education and your spirit. You can still be miserable, my friend. That's why they're trying to be free spiritually, because everything else will fall in line. And they're making their own way, their own resources will fall in line. Those who are able to have the ability to make and be able to help out, is it the ones that help out, the ones that choose to help out, that will want to help want to lift themselves and find good ones that want to uplift themselves out of their situation, not take advantage, not use or manipulate. You have to worry about that too. But I choose this on this video to cover this topic. Why? Because it was already kept spoken, and it's almost like someone's wishing you out. Someone wished me out of the country to wish me to death. That's cool. Hey, let me get my resources up. and I, and I understand the mentality that let's go, hey, because it's like you seen it innocent individuals. Someone can call a cop on. There's a black man walking down the street. There's a black man in the store. There's a black man barbecuing. There's a black child riding a bike. Come down here. I want you to do something about it. He said, what are they doing? Then the cops show up. He's being disorderly. Then you had a black child here gets disciplined. It could, no matter the behavior of the activity, instead of disciplining the child like a justified discipline, like any child, your child gotta get disciplined harder because it's the prison line to institution, school to prison line, and that's what they try and do. The narrative. That's the truth. That's what they picture you as. Keep them in cages, break their spirit, keep them generationally, infect them with this, affect them, change their mind, demasculate the men, masculate the women, turn the man against the woman. Willie Lynch letter in 2020. That's why they waking up, and they know, and African Americans know that if they die out, and I'm not saying that there's a certain segment of people is in a certain lifestyle, but they know if they die out through abortion and that, there's not going to be none left. So that's another reason for they to go to Africa. Because it's programmed, propagandized among the inner city. That's why you see what you see. That's why some are going to Africa. That's why some are forming Pan-Africanism. That's why they say, no, we want to separate from this. We all people, yeah, but there's a segment of people among these nations is trying to improvise and bring that spirit over on them. That's why you're hearing some, in whether they could be Pan-Africanists, some who say that, who follow the Hebraic religion, Islamic religion, saying we've got to separate. No, we believe in separation. We believe in protecting for our own. That's a fact. No, we don't believe in mixing our genes with your genes. And he said, whoa, well, we all human. I understand that. But it's the same mentality that these other nations tell their children. Don't mix our blood with their blood. We're not going to marry and mix in with their blood. Why? There's reason. And I agree with you. There's gonna be some that do. There's some that choose to, some that don't. And but the reason why some people look at it that way, because there's a couple factors into that. Because the people who are pushing it, they wouldn't let their children do it. The people that's pushing the agenda, they wouldn't let their family members. They're not gonna let them get abortions at a higher rate. The people who's pushing it, this is what's happening to the blacks in America. This is the reason why they are in the state that they're in. In some sense, they have this criminality mentality, put abortion in there. You have people with that kind of mindset here. That's the truth. They don't want to tell you that. So they want to do something with their practice called eugenics. And eugenics went back to the 20s and 30s. We had to extinguish these African Americans. Look, how do we do that? How do we do this? How do we extinguish the African Americans? we 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 gentrify the neighborhoods. One, put somebody over there who looks like them, and be the go-between. Two, watch their people come down. My African American, my African friend. This is going on with the African American. That's why. Let and support abortion, but when you get to the suburbs, infertilization gets up. Abortion to these black babies. My friend, that's spiritual warfare. It was even put in, there was a people that went through this in the Bible. There was a form of it. And how was the form of it? It was in the Bible. It was the Hebrews in the Bible, and Egyptians. The pharaohs of the land said, if we don't do, when he saw they were growing in mass number more than Egyptians, he made an order. He said, well, for every Hebrew woman, a Hebrew birth, we're gonna have to castrate them. We're gonna have to eliminate them and cause them to sacrifice their babies to us, to cut them down. And if they don't, they die. How did Egypt did it? With their resources. This is how they did it. That spirit have hit the Western nations. The spirit is hitting, trying to, even certain parts of Africa. We would take their resources. They're trying to. But if you take the bait, abortion would be over there. And if they were abort, there's another one to say, hey, we will find another way. The habit is, they do get sick, don't they? Watch it. There's too many on the planet of these dark people. It's not about your education. It's too many people that look like you. That scares me. That makes me inferior. And there's some people are like that. There's too many around them. I see less of me and more of them. Same way Egypt is, the same way. So we gotta do something. There's too many of these Hebrew people. If they do, they're gonna grow up a mighty army, and they're gonna outnumber us. Well, my friend, that spirit jumped from 2,000 years ago all the way to now, but it transformed itself. It transformed. How did it transform? Give them services, put them in buildings like other poor people. And other poor people were able to come out what we call the projects. But this segment of people, how can we deal with them? We got to put them on some type of drugs. We got to give them some kind of way of making opportunity to be the man. And watch this, when they get a hold of this drug, they're gonna go buck wild and about crazy, and they're gonna kill each other. My brother, that's what's going on here. Because they in the opportunity, we have castrate them for this amount of time. We have give them education, but certain that the enemy don't allow you. He don't allow you only so much to know, because think about this. The same individual that live in well-to-do places are not going to let you know, because they want their kids and their people to advance. And we want to take their kids and put themselves over the kids to keep the ones less and less in advance. No people don't want to see the underdog come up. That's why they leaving, my friend. They didn't figure out that at a whole group of people, no matter you take any group of people, whether they're from Latin America, African American, Asian American, or Middle Eastern, and figure out that somebody and someone was put abortion in their neighborhoods, someone's going to put some drugs in their neighborhoods, somebody's going to figure out something is going, and they salt their people, and seduce them with backward ass education, and then just discourage them, and then let them create some music that use what Satan used, because he used music as a weapon. As a weapon against the people, so because when they sing, whatever you sing out and whatever you speak out, you act out, my friend. That's what it's about. And some of us who are woke see this is trying to work, but there's some was this, it's just we're trying to sound the alarm and try to sound the alarm. No, that's a conspiracy. But it's a conspiracy because you see it. Is the gentrification a conspiracy? Is the things you see in Chicago is a conspiracy? This was a segment of that. Start something, mysterious individuals coming to those inner cities. Put the drugs. They even did it with the protesting. There was individuals among the protesters want the blacks to start something and want the cops to start shooting, no matter, even if they were white people, but they hit the blacks. I'm trying to tell, this is what's going on. Not everybody's your friend. Not everybody's out there for the right reason. This is why blacks want to leave America, because they know. They start like they did over in certain parts of Africa, start a coup. Pit one against the other and had them fight it out. That's the same way over here, my friend. Put one gang against another gang. Are there some individuals are like that? Yeah. Some people are just stupid like that, trying to get easy money, to be a thief or a robber. That could be any individual, regardless of whatever. But if they but if it looks like the makeup of the person, then it's all right. That's why they want to leave. That's why they want to separate this. There's a segment that want to separate themselves from the pop. And not every black person wants to get up and go. No. They've been conditioned. Some are conditioned. Some wants to go but can't financially go, like myself. And if some wants to go, some don't want to go because they're conditioned. They think that they're low. That's why you hear us we use rap videos and you hear the N-word so much. A lot of people don't. Let me give you. This was where this word really originated. Was one. And so they try to determine that they witchcraft the name of the N-word, because the N-word has a spirit behind it. The N-word was not don't think of what it is, what you hear today. The N-word means shiftless, lazy, ignorant. But when they took the ER off it and put A, it doesn't mean that it's make it sound cool. It means that it whatever the Bible said, whatever you speak, it takes life, it takes form. And when you see some young people and they look in a certain way, that's the N-word taken to the effect. That's why you gotta watch what you say to one another, to the brothers and sisters who's in the skin. Because the enemy knows that when you speak something and you saying something and you dancing something, I'm just indicative, then you become what you say. You become not the Nigga, but even though it sound like, man, it sound cool in the mud, but really the ones who wrote it saying is the Nigger. That's what it stands for. That's why people say, don't call me that word, because it's black people that know where that spirit come from. But yet some of us use it on social media. Some of us use it when we get among each other. We even curse ourselves with that word. That's why you probably say, why they keep saying, why they do that? Because some of us ain't educated to understand. Some of us haven't let the Almighty Yah explain to them how powerful your words and the manifestation of your words really is. This is the truth. That's why you see the manifestation of what you see in inner cities, in poor areas, in the mentality, and in the spirit of the people who come out of those certain areas. Is the atmosphere. It's territorial. It's demonic. That can treat them like the ends that they are. It's the word that spoke like witchcraft, or treat the ends like they are. And there's a segment of black people is trying to break that spirit, trying to break that spell, because they know they're coming to revelation. And that's some who understand what words mean. They have been gifted by the Most High God to see it. I hope someone shared this video to somebody, because this is what you see. This is what you see playing out in different cities. Whatever you rap, whatever you rap. See, rap music was a form of poetry. It was expressing the politics and everything. But someone got a hold of time and it would start being uplifting yourself. But somebody got amongst them and say, yeah, this sounds good, but why don't you throw something in this in it? Why don't you throw something in that in it? And next thing you know, they start being like that. And so when they start singing the music, and they start calling their own women bees and hoes and being shiftless and whatever, and even speaking over, and it manifests itself. It manifests it's among our people. And when you try to tell them something like this, oh man, you trying to be different. No, I'm trying to, you're not the end. That you didn't come from a land full of ends. You didn't come from a people full of ends. Inwards. That they put that spirit over you. Some of us waking up to understand this. But I guess you had to talk to the ones, and maybe some people choose to use that word to try to feel like they can connect with them. I choose not to use it. I can't even bring myself to even say it no more, because words are powerful. That's why they use, but this is the reason why some people, because they don't know. It's not that, it's just they don't know. And that's why there's a segment of people that God has to use. Even if it means use, and even though to some degree, the Nation of Islam, or whether it's the Hebrew brothers or whatever, some of the Hebrew people, just to because once God can use a method, but then again he has to bring them in and really show them who they are. You're not what you are out there in that street. He didn't design you to be the criminal, the black man or the black woman or the child. He didn't design him to be that way. That's something that man put over you. But see, what happened was people got used to it. So that's why a segment of black people are going to Africa, because they had to reprogram. And when they get on the land of Africa, everything it was probably witchcraft in your mind in America is broken. It's a spiritual broken in Africa, because you're not the N word. You're not the C word. You're not the animal, because your skin color. That's what it was really about. So I don't mean to go into a rant like this, but this is the reason why they're going to Africa. This the real reason why. And it's like, because the very people who kept saying they need to go back to Africa. If you don't like this country, go back. Oh yeah, they're the ones that are going back. And those that have able to use the resources, and they ain't coming back because of the George Floyd, the Mob Aubrey, Breonna Taylor, different individuals that did do no wrong, because the stigma was turned into a killer that cost them their lives. So they're not coming back. Some people have seen that, and say, no, it's time to go. We got to go. They're not saying that the problem's going to be easier where they're going, but at least you don't have to worry about someone according to the color of your skin. You might have to worry about the other things, but at least you got to think it will be conditioned out of your mind where it's at. That's why some people are going over to the continent. So that's just something you should know, ladies and gentlemen. I'll make this video. They may make this video so long, but it had this the cause and effect. That's what's going on, and there's some people that still to this day choose to be like that. And until next time, you guys be blessed and be easy.